guys. I'm going to get into the roster. We're at negative 52 million. I'm going to show you the roster graphic of all the players we have. And really, when you trim away, long shots, who we really have. I do believe there's hope for the season. But you got to be realistic. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done to get this team to where it needs to be. Now, I don't think it's going to be as talented as the 23 season. But if Greer has a great offseason, now a lot of stuff goes well, get the DC in here, we could come in less talented than the 23 team, but grow over the course of the season and not get as bad at injuries, and then by the end of the season be better off. I do think it's a longer shot. Last year, I saw the meter of hope ticking towards hope, although I had my concerns. This year, until I see what goes on, I have my meter tick towards I'm a little concerned more than the hope. But I got to be realistic. All right, so I'm going to go over all the players we have, and you're going to see when you pare down that 46 looks great to have signed, even if it's at the negative 52. But when you really look at it, there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of things can help alleviate this minus 52. You get between 15 and 25 as the cap goes up. There's players you can cut like Agba to free up 13 million. There's extensions you can do, but not as much extensions as you think. And it kind of puts us in the red zone in 25 and 26. So there's a lot of stuff that can be done, but it is not a clean run. So I'm going to get into all that. Now, first, guys, I apologize. I missed the live last week. Cancer was like a wild thing. I've never experienced anything like this. Beginning of the week, best guy in the world, my friend, he got great diagnosis that the chemo was kind of taking care of that. Good news, middle of the week, my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, got diagnosed with cancer. And then last night before the live, my wife's aunt died. And my brother-in-law and her were super close, so it was an event. And then the internet was kind of like weird for some reason. It was like buzzy. So I just canceled, and I do apologize. I really, really am sorry. I'm going to reschedule for next week and take all this data and just lay it out on the live so we can go back and forth and talk things through, because I don't think I have all the answers. And I want to hear from you to get out, because I'm really just about trying to find the truth. I have my own opinions and my own thoughts, but I really am trying to get to the truth. So I'm just going to focus on this roster now with the understanding that things can change, but a lot of things need to change to the positive. Savvy? All right, guys. So let's get a look at what we got. Now, if you look over the just the overview of the roster, we have one safety on the roster, even though there's the 46 and there's other guys, but no one can really count on, 100% other than Holland. Corners, we got 3. Kohu, Ramsey, and X, although X might be moved on, we don't know. Plus Cam, he's a possibility, but you can't dial it in. And then Boner. So it could be 3, 4, or 5, depending on what happens with Cam, Boner, and X. So could be a good spot, but it's not locked, it's not totally sold out to be awesome. Then linebackers, we got 3, unless you want Baker out. Long, I think, is a guy who's going to be with us for a while. And then you got Tyndall and Duke, but Tyndall hasn't shown enough. I mean, can you really trust that he's going to grow in year 3? He only had about 12 to 20 plays last year, and you could blame Fangio, but it was the same as the year before that, and they were mostly special teams. But we'll see. That's a big piece right there. 0 edges to start the season. Phillips, Chubb, and Good all going to be out long-term. Mid-season, they can probably start coming back, but then when will they be 100%? So you got 0 to start the season. You got to fill that up. And then you got VG, who's probably going to leave. He might have stayed if Fangio stayed, because Fangio's believed in him, got him to have his best season. This guy's going to make too much money. I think he might even follow him, Fangio, to Philly. I don't know what their cap numbers are, but I don't know if he's going to be back. Then DTs, we really only have Sealer, and then maybe Peely if you think he's going to take that next step. Me personally, I think year 3 is where I could really bank on him to become a solid, at least backup. This year, maybe it's just hard for these guys to get that physical strength up. And he had a lot of tools. It was just his strength. So maybe this year, but I believe more next year. But we'll see. I think they're going to bank on him this year, though. Then you got 2 wide receivers, obviously Hill and Waddle. But EZ, can you trust EZ? But Wilson's been voided contract. I think he's gone. So you got 2 and maybe easy. Tight end, you got a half there because Smythe is a backup. He's a good pass blocker, bad run blocker. He's not really going to attack, in a pass attack. And then people like Hill, the team likes Hill, but he was bad, not bad, rough. Guy's a physical specimen, but rough. It's so hard to excel at the tight end position. So that's what you got there. Quarterback spot, some people don't like Tua, but a lot of teams would like to have Tua, and obviously add in White and Smythe. That's a nice little group there. We don't need to be doing much there. That's great news. Achane, super talented, little small, highly injured in his first year. You can see Cook, or with the Bills, he hasn't been injured. So if Achane could get to that Cook level of consistency, it's going to be unbelievable next year. But Kenny, you got to, you can't really bank on it. You can maybe, hopefully, Mostert, 32, 33, injury history. You got to split these carries up, and you got to make sure that both these guys are not getting that volume of carries. Wilson, he's been injured, so not bad, not bad. The consistency kind of tears it down. Really good when you look at Mostert and Achane in a bubble and then Wilson behind him, but it's that injury thing that's kind of concerning. Fullback HB in gold. I like that, although his run blocking is not great. It's good and then bad. It's not consistent. O-line's a major problem, guys. Finally, I think people are starting to come around to the O-line's like important and not really where it needs to be. Do we think we're going to get Hunt back? 18, 19, 20 million? I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it. But you got Cotton, who's not good enough last year. I don't know if he's going to be good enough this year. Eichenberg, 25 pro set pass blocking grade. And then Jackson, 55. He was the 50. He was like the 88th worst. So you got, maybe I believe Jackson can keep growing, but that's a little shaky. And then you got Tehran. And Tehran, this guy's body is breaking down. He is getting older. I know he's going to do well, but it's not like he was first year where he was just shutting everything down. Will he be like year one Tehran here, where there's going to be injuries, he's going to miss some games, but is he, the guy, no matter what, even one leg and one arm is going to do well, but considering the rest of this group, it is a little concerning. So if you take a look at this graph here, you can see that's our whole roster, all 46 players, but there's a lot of guys like Izukama, Cotton, Tyndall, Hayes, Hines, Schwartz. These guys, maybe they can step forward. But we all know, unless that, you're into the total hopium, most of these guys, the vast majority of them aren't going to be good enough. It's so hard to make in the NFL. So we're banking on some of these guys stepping up, but odds are they're subpar players. So you take 24 off this list here, and then you got 22 players. Now, all those aren't starters. Some of those are special team guys like Longstaff or Ferguson. Some guys are backups like Smythe, even though he's in the starting role. Some of them are backup quarterbacks. And then when you really pare it down, this is the current roster at minus 52 without any moves. And that leaves 22 guys. Hill and Ramsey, obviously good. Tua, he's here. We know that. You can possibly extend him. Tehran, he's a player, but the body's got to break down. At some point, he's human, but he's descending. Baker, is he going to be here? Is he what we want? Are we going to get rid of him to save money? Sealer, he's a guy. Obviously, he's good. I like him a ton. Although I think with Wilkins, he's allowed to play certain roles that Wilkins allows him to play. I still think he's very, very good. But maybe you can move money back into the future. I don't know. He just got one big contract. Waddle's a free agent. Can't do anything there. Junior's a guy you can extend to free up some money, and he's a guy maybe you can think long-term. Smith, second round, but it's a concern. Health, size, 180 pounds, and some of the stuff on the field. When you watch him in preseason, he made some great plays, but then there was points where he didn't have the burst to get off cuts and breaks. And when you look at his numbers, his combine numbers, great speed, but there was some little stuff in there that showed you maybe he's not as explosive to play that nickel or corner. I like them at safety, but at 180, that is not a lock. Achane, we know the deal, super talented, injuries. Hill, long way to go. Boner, few little that I saw of him looked really good, but, maybe. Peely, I've already talked about him. Riley, guy you can get $2 million back. So if Tyndale can step up, then this is where you can get a nice $2 million. Although he's good on special teams, and you really want extra linebackers, so that's a little bit of a concern. Smythe, I like him in a limited role, in a backup role, in a secondary role, just not your starter. You're going to have to get a starter. Jackson, if you got him protected and you're setting things up, he's good enough when the ball's coming out very fast. But once you get to a normal clock, there are problems. Again, his pro set pass blocking grade is clear. But he can grow. I do believe this guy's going to get better. His technique's a little soft. There's some inability to deal with power, but he's still so young. But is it going to be this year, next year, or what? I think eventually he's going to get to a point where he's much better than now. I don't know what that is, but I don't know about this year. Holland, obviously, but he's a free agent. You can't do anything with that. Ingold, I like it, but he's a 450 snap guy. Wilson, you could save almost 2.1 by getting rid of him and maybe getting a guy off the free agency or undrafted free agency market and shave some money. So that's there. Mostert, you get 2.1, but he's the heart of this team. And with Achan's injury history, you got to keep him. But there's that injury history and the age. Skyler, good player, but he's a backup quarterback. Kohu, bad year last year. I think a lot of it was the man. I think he started struggling as Vic had to go more and more to man. Doesn't want that much man and that much blitzing, but he kind of had to get off his own scheme because of injuries and because of all kinds of flux going on with that defense. I believe the kid can play. He's just not a mid to late clock man guy. Then you add Sanders, the kicker, and Blake Ferguson, the long snapper. That's it. And now you got Chubb and Phillips. Like I said, it's going to be a long time. They're not there for the first half of the season. So you can't really officially count them. And then X. He's saying he wants to restructure. That's a lot of money to lock into a guy with injury history who's going to be 31 this year. I don't know how much you want to push forward. We only got 58 next year. You're going to cut some guys, and dead money is going to go to next year. And I think it's spread out like next year and the year after that. But I don't know. You can cut them post-June. You can't get it pre-June, so you can't get that money up front. So I don't know. This is what you got. And that is definitely not as thick and juicy as the Dolphins roster was going to 2023 season. And, when you factor in, Bills are not, they don't look to me like they're ready to go to Super Bowl unless they do some stuff. But they're not going to be as inconsistent because they're going to aid the run game. They're going to have their full draft. They're not missing a lot of players. So they're going to come out the gate a little bit hotter. Rodgers shouldn't go down in the fourth play, I don't think. And that offensive line should get a little bit better, so they're going to be tougher. And I'm sure without Bill, the Patriots are going to be tougher. So this is looking like, I do believe there's possibilities, but it is a very uphill climb. We're going to have to hit on that first. We're going to have to hit on it second unless we trade back and try to find some picks. And I do think Greer hits pretty often on the fifth. Got Van Ginkel. So you can get maybe 2 starters out of that and a half a backup if you're perfect in your draft. And then you add growth in Cam, EHN staying healthy, maybe Easy stepping up. But this is a lot of holes to fill. We'll see. A lot of people like Greer a ton. I'm not one of them. I think he's got strengths, but overall, I don't like him. But this is his chance to prove how good he is. We will see. He'll need to be good. So that's really it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I do believe there's hope, but man, that's not as happy-go-lucky as year 1 and 2 with McDaniel's tenure. We'll see. Anyway, Curtis saying, thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with acebread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.